Hey, yo, Chi-Town, listen up. You are now listening to the best sports talk show in the Windy City. Combs and Fitz. Windy City Sports Talk. From the burst of the lake, there ain't no mistake. The Combs and Fitz gonna have the greatest of the hot takes.
Okay.
So hop on the board and join the bandwagon.
Ooh.
They gonna keep your feet moving and sometimes how you laughing.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
come on through with the sports talk is what you wish. The West know what's up and don't miss. Fitz gibberish.
I can't do
It
that.
don't matter what team you playing. Well, West gonna burn that flame. So put your team on the map. Guess what? We gonna do the same. From Comiskey to Wrigley.
What?
From Soldier to UC.
Okay.
Windy City Sports is where you need to be. But there is no furthermore. You get the jits. So let's get the rest for Combs and Fitz.
And what is going on, Windy City Sports Talk fans? It's your boy, Brandon Combs, along with my guy, Ryan Fitz Gibbons, Combs and Fitz, Windy City Sports Talk. Fitzy, you're back from Hawaii, man. What's going on? How we doing?
Doing well. Aloha.
Aloha.
Even more the Hawaiian shirt. Hawaii is paradise. I mean, it just is. It's a lot better in Hawaii than Chicago. I'm sorry for Chicagoans out there. The weather's better. A lot of the people are better. Not anybody who listens to this show. A lot of the people are better than you. But yeah, it's been a while. Been too long.
It's definitely been too long, man. A lot of stuff has happened since you've been gone. The White Sox have a new manager. The Cubs are all of a sudden back in the wild card race, close to 500 again.
Interesting.
The Bears are on Hard Knocks. We have a lot of stuff that we have not been able to talk to. Truly, this is the first time that we have actually been able to talk since you've even been home.
Yeah. I mean, the hour change and all that. It was just great being there, and actually having the fires in Maui just a year ago. There was a lot of people down on their luck there, but you know their outlook is so much better. I feel like than some of the outlook we have here, especially myself when I'm getting down on some of the Chicago teams, especially the Bears, who are cool again. The Bears are cool. Let's do that. The Bears are cool again. All right, put it on Facebook.
And put it on Facebook, yeah.
I don't know what happened. I told Jeremiah the Bears are cool again. That's all you need to know. And they are. Cool
yeah,
again.
I mean, you definitely put it on Facebook. You were able to comment. You weren't able to text me back, but you were able to comment. So, you know.
You always have to say something.
It was just, I'm just letting you know. You said, I thought I texted to you or maybe it was on. But no, it was just a comment on Facebook. All my texts went unanswered.
Like that for a rebuttal?
Until basically this morning. When you wanted to text me something finally, then I was able to talk to you a little bit. So
here we go.
I just see how important I am to you. That's all. It's fine. It's fine. I know the totem pole. It goes your family and then me. I get it. Whatever.
Because I'm prepared to fuck somebody up. So
That's it.
It's just
He's
how
not
it
even on
goes.
the team anymore.
It's just how it goes.
He's gone.
But no, we got a great show lined up for you guys. We're going to talk about the Cubs, who are in Cleveland trying to avoid a sweep tonight. We are going to talk about the White Sox, new manager, still have not reached 30 wins yet this season, which is insane to think about. It is August 14th, and the White Sox are only at 29 wins. It's nuts to think about. We're going to talk about the NFC West. We're going to talk about the NFC South, and we're going to talk about our Chicago Bears on Hard Knocks. Admittedly, I did not get a chance to watch the second episode yet. I'm going to watch that tonight after we get off the show here, but fantastic stuff. A lot of stuff going on. Fitz, tell us a little bit about Hawaii, man. What was your favorite part? What did you go swim? Did you see any sharks?
Now I saw a giant turtle.
Okay.
Who was swimming in a cove like by us. We had to get out there because it took us forever to like find sea turtles, so I had to like swim out with no gear on, like out probably too far in the ocean. Nicole did too. And I get top billing for this. Yeah, I know, it was great. I think that was good. The hiking was really good there, like just the scenery. And you know what? I guess the top thing is the people. Like, just to go through what they've gone through, over 80 people dead in that fire last year, billions of dollars in damage, and our government did so much to help them. Yeah, right, they didn't. They haven't gotten a lot of government help. They got a check for like $700 a piece.
I know, it was like when they reached out to the government for help, the government had one answer.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
That was the government's answer.
It's like you have to live in the Donbass region of Ukraine to get money, I guess. You have to have Russia. So if Russia invaded Hawaii, we'd have billions of dollars of defense weaponry down there. We'd have we've given them all kinds of money. But a fire starts, and it was great. We went to a luau, which I thought was going to be corporatized, but was awesome. Like, just the people's outlook on life there is just a lot different, and to soak that in for a week was nice. Because when you got a sales job and a podcast where the Chicago teams are not above 500, the Cubs still, let me check, aren't above.
They got close. They got close, and then they had to go to Cleveland, the best team in baseball right now.
Baseball.
They've got knocked down a little bit of a peg. I mean, they're battling with Cleveland, though. I mean, that's the thing. They're both of these games that they've played against Cleveland have been battles to the end. They're hitting with Cleveland. They're doing all the other good stuff. And as the schedule goes after they leave Cleveland, the schedule does get a little bit easier, minus the Yankees in September. But look, the Cubs are just what we thought. They're a team that's going to contend for the wild card spot now. They're a team that is going to give you a reason to think that maybe they can back in, and maybe they do back into the playoffs, right? Maybe the Cubs do get into a wild card spot. It's kind of false hope for Cubs fans, because I know, look, I have a group with Jack Heinrich, who we've had on the show before, and my buddy Hunter, and we talk all the time. And our big thing is every time the Cubs do something good, we're like, oh, the Cubs are back. You know what I mean? And then the next day we're texting each other like, man, screw this team. It's just kind of how our text chain goes. But this is going to be that team that even if they back into the playoffs, they might. I'll tell you this. If they back into the playoffs, they might be able to beat the Dodgers in a short series, because the Cubs starting pitching, I believe, is on the same level as the Dodgers starting pitching. And I believe that their offense can sort of hang with the Dodgers offense as long as they're hitting at that point in time. They're just so hot and cold offensively. But if they do get into the playoffs, they're not touching the Philadelphia Phillies. They're not touching. They might not even touch the Milwaukee Brewers, to be honest with you. This team is not. They're not built for that. They are not built to win. Their bullpen has been better as of late, but their offense has been struggling a lot. It's been wild. And then the other thing, you have a lot of. I mean, dude, I've been watching games. Like today, the umpire strike zone today is like this freaking wide by this freaking tall. And then the other day, the Cubs have a 3-0 lead. They're about to get out of an inning. They throw a pitch to your boy Josh Naylor, who I know you love with Cleveland. Shota Imanaga throws him a fastball right down the middle that gets called for a ball. Extends the inning, and the Guardians score 4 runs off of that after that with 2 outs in the inning. That would have been strike 3, would have ended the inning. They get 4 runs off of that. That's 4 runs created by an umpire. So those are the things that you have to overcome. This team, I'm excited for the future of the Cubs. I just am. I mean, it's the only baseball team in Chicago we can say that about, right?
Well, I mean, if we're talking about if a team can get better, I don't think you can get any worse than the White Sox.
Listen, Darius.
I agree. The Cubs blow. But my question, and Darius has a point. I mean, my whole thing with the Cubs is they've been the same team for almost 2.5 years now. Yeah. And that's maybe a slightly below average team, maybe right at average. Are they better this year than they were last year?
I would say they're a little more talented than they were last year. I will say that. I think that the starting rotation is better than what it was last year. I think the bullpen is a little bit better than it was last year. I do like PCA out in center field. I think PCA is really starting to turn it on with the bat.
How is the bullpen better?
They've been better as of late. Since I think I saw a stat the other day. It was like since June 23rd or June 30th or something. They're actually a top 3 bullpen in the league. And it was up until June 30th where they blew 28 games after the 7th inning. That was the freaking problem. But
that's enough for a couple of seasons,
right? And that's that's the thing. Like, you can't go back and be like, oh, since June 30th, they're the best. They were terrible at the beginning of the season, terrible, and that was when the offense was good. And now the offense is struggling, and now the bullpen's good. You got to get to a point where you're putting them both together, and the Cubs' schedule down the stretch is extremely easy. I mean, their schedule down the stretch is, I mean, I can't tell you, other than the Yankees, I'm pulling up their schedule right now, but other than the Yankees, I don't see a spot where the Cubs can lose, 4 out of 5, 5 out of 6, anything like that. Because after this series with Cleveland, they play Toronto. Toronto's been bad all year long. Then they play Detroit. Detroit's been bad all year long. They play Miami, Pittsburgh, Washington, Pittsburgh, the Yankees, and the Dodgers. That's a 6-game stretch, which will be telling. But they usually play well in LA. They got to go to LA. Then they play the Rockies, Oakland, Washington, Philly, and Cincy to end it. So the Yankees, the Dodgers, and Philly are really their only stiff competition the rest of the way. And so when you look at the Cubs and what they're capable of doing, this could be a team that ends up with 82, 83 wins, just above 500, and backs into the playoffs, especially with the way Atlanta's been struggling lately. The Mets are starting to come back down to earth, doing all that. So I think that they can sneak in. So what? Here's a question for you. Would you rather, as a Sox fan, the Sox right now, obviously you would take anything better than what they are, but would you rather them be a team that might back into the playoffs that has no shot of winning, or would you rather just end it at the end of September and focus on football?
End it at the end of September here. I mean, the bad thing about the Sox is with this ridiculous rule change where the worst team in the league only gets the top 10 only gets the 10th pick in the draft. That's idiotic,
right?
I don't know where they got that from, because of all the profit sharing that's going on in baseball, where teams that don't spend a lot of money, and you can say what you want about White Sox spending, they actually do spend a lot more money than a lot of other teams, so they're kind of getting the raw end of the stick there. But I'd rather have my team be bad than middling. I mean, I really would. And is this okay for the Cubs brass? That's another question. Is this okay for them? Because from where I'm sitting, it seems like it's okay with them to be where they are. Oh, they almost make the playoffs, or they make the playoffs. Let's see what they can do. Try hard. They don't have Juan Soto. They didn't get Guerrero's son, Vlad Guerrero Jr. They didn't get, and I don't know. I don't think Pete Alonso would have been able to do a lot, but they didn't get any of those guys. They didn't get one of the top, I know bullpens can go up and down, but you get a top closer. It's the same guys who are the top closers in the leagues over and over again. And that didn't happen. Focus on football. White Sox are losers right now. Darius, you have a point.
Yes, Darius does have a point. And look, Darius is a Chicago sports fan, just like we are. I work with Darius over at the Chicago Dogs. Tremendous guy. But he watches with his heart, just like we do. He is very high on the Bears this year, as we are. But he is a diehard White Sox fan, and I've talked to him throughout the season. I've listened to him throughout the season, and he is just as out as everybody else is on the White Sox.
Yeah, I mean, and don't get me wrong, I want the Cubs to make the playoffs. I think it would make our show a little bit more interesting. Once you start a podcast, you start walking away from being a total fan.
Look at that mug.
Yeah, I mean, it's great how the comments have gotten a lot bigger on StreamYard.
I was going to say, the comments have gotten way bigger on StreamYard. What the hell?
We should give them their due. StreamYard doesn't.
Now all of a sudden we can see your brother's ugly mug on the
Go Bears, go Irish. Like, I can't wait to talk about the Bears, but I mean, I think the Cubs are the top story. They are seem to be winning again, somewhat. Before, if we would have done the show Monday, it might have been a different show. But
the focus tonight is to not get swept. Don't get swept by Cleveland. Win one here tonight. Find a way with Jamison Tyone on the mound and not give up 90 home runs with that ball that loves to fly over the right field wall in Cleveland. And find a way to win a ball game tonight. And then you go after tonight, I believe it is Toronto back here at Wrigley. And then you got Detroit here on Wrigley. You're on a 6-game homestand. Win 5 out of 6. And look at that. You're over 500. You're back in the thick of things. And then you go to Miami, you go to Pittsburgh, and you go to Washington.
Baseball math again.
It's not about baseball, man. It's about
6, and
this is what you've got to do. This is what you got to do to make a believer, right? If you go into this and you lose 5 out of 6, you're done. Everybody's out. There's no coming back from that against teams like that at home. So it's just a matter of we'll see. That's where I'm at with the Cubs. Like, we'll see. Everything that they give you is great. It is what it is. Could be worse. It could be about the team that we're talking about now. The White Sox.
Yes, new manager.
Were you excited? How'd you take the news in Hawaii when you found out Pedro Grifol was? Yeah,
I was shocked. I got it pretty quickly. I was, for some reason, looking at my phone, and boom. I was kind of shocked because he still has another year. I don't think he was coming back next year, but just like Jerry Reinsdorf lets people finish off years. He doesn't. He doesn't do this where he doesn't let guys finish out the season. But I think it got so bad that it was like, they had to let him go. Like, they had to do something, action for action's sake. It's like, it was almost like comparable to like firing the hitting coach, where it's like, oh yeah, that's going to change things.
And people are excited, right? Like your brother writes Grady. Yeah. And then Monday or Tuesday morning, I wake up to my Twitter feed and I would have thought the White Sox won the World Series because they beat the Yankees 12-2. And that was every other post on Twitter was that the Yankees get smashed by the White Sox and they lose 12-2. And it was one of those things. But I will say this, under Grady Sizemore, 4 games now under Grady Sizemore, a lot more fight out of these White Sox. It seems like it's a different team.
He got the favorites. There is no favorites now. I mean, I'm sure Pedro Grifol had favorites that might have not been working out. So the guys play a little differently. It happens even in baseball, where that ball, lands weirdly, gets hit weird, It does happen in baseball where a new coach comes in and all of a sudden the team's got like a spring in their step. Maybe the ball comes off the bat. Andrew Benintendi's hitting home runs, put another 50 points on his average. And this was the Benintendi I thought we could be getting. A guy hits 15 to 20 home runs in a small park. That really is good to left-handed hitters. I thought he could do that. I just thought his average would be higher than 215. But you can say that about a lot of players this year. But
yeah. Now let me ask you this. Now they're sitting at 29-92. I mean, which is on August 14th. That is just unfathomable that you could be talking about a record like that. But we talked about the Cubs schedule. I want to talk about the White Sox schedule because
here we go.
You've got Houston at Houston, then you go to San Francisco. Then you get 4 against Detroit, 3 against Texas, 3 against the Mets, 3 against Baltimore, 3 against Boston, 3 against Cleveland. I mean, are they at 32 wins by September 13th when they play Oakland?
They've played Cleveland pretty tough. I mean, yeah. I'm saying this team cannot. I can't even talk. This team cannot get much worse than this. I mean, you would have to think with the new management and something good has got to happen here. Like they have to go on some kind of win streak or what we were talking when they went like 9-8 in one point in the season. Like they need something like that here. Like they should have won on accident by now.
Right.
And then Garrett Crochet in the Cubs game weirdly enough, he just keeps throwing sliders down the middle. Like, I don't know why he went to that pitch. And I'm not worried about a guy if he's tired. He did not seem tired like the innings were getting to him. When a guy pitches out of sequence or in a bad sequence, that's when I start worrying about a guy, because it's like you can't do much about a guy's brain. At least you could say, oh, he's getting tired. It's later in the year. He has never pitched this many innings. Didn't look like that. Looks like he was pitching the wrong goddamn pitches.
Yeah.
I mean, without him pitching well, yeah, they could be at 32 wins by September, whatever.
So since 1962, the worst road. 1962 is when the Major League Baseball went to 162 game season. The worst record in baseball since then has been the 2003 Detroit Tigers with 43 wins on 119 losses. This team's going to crush that record, right?
You would have to think so. You think they're going to go 14 and 10 or whatever? Quick math. They'd have to go or something like that. 14 and 15. I don't see them.
They would have to win. What do they have now? So they have 29 and 92. So that's what 121 games. It's 121 games. So they've got 42.
It's 111 games.
41 games left. No, it's 121 games. So they've got 41 games left. That would be 14 and 27 over the last 41, just to tie the record.
Jesus.
And with that schedule that we just laid out, I mean, look, the back end of the schedule of that schedule is kind of okay, right? Because you got the A's, then you get the Angels. You do play the Padres, who are battling for a playoff spot, but then you get the Angels in Detroit to end the season. I mean, those 12 games minus San Diego, so 3 against Oakland, 3 against LA, 3 against LA again, and 3 against Detroit. I mean,
what's Paul Konerko doing?
If you group up a bunch of those,
what's Paul Konerko doing?
I don't know, man.
Can they still play? I say 48 wins. 19 more wins.
Yikes.
Let's go, Grady. Grady Sizemore was a terrific player. There was nothing the guy couldn't do.
Well, let me ask you this. If I gave you, we're gonna play. There's a game that is played up on the BetQL station. I kind of like, and it's called 500. It's called Nickel or Dime. So would you bet 500 on one thing or bet 1,000 on one thing? Would you bet $500 on the White Sox to win 19 more games this season out of their 41? Or would you bet $1,000 that they'll hit at least another 14-game losing streak?
Ooh, that's a good one. I don't think they'll have another 14-game losing streak. I don't think that's in there, but they did lose 21 in a row.
Yeah.
We broke the streak while I was out there. I got to watch that game, or part of that game, just because it was on West Coast time, and Hawaii is 5 hours behind. West Coast is 2 hours, so it kind of worked out where we were able to watch the end of that game. That was like winning the World Series.
So I don't know if they'll go on another 14-game losing streak either. I think that Garrett Crochet is good enough to stop the bleeding here and there. They do go on a 15-game stretch, though, against teams that are dying to make the playoffs: the Texas Rangers, the New York Mets, the Baltimore Orioles, the Boston Red Sox, and the Cleveland Guardians. I mean, if they're going to do it, that would be the stretch where they would do it. But I don't know. I think they might be. I think John's right. Maybe they can't get to 19 more wins this season. Accidentally, maybe. I don't know.
Sad there was a time where they were 9 and 8. I think over a 7.
We also said this before the All-Star break, and they've won 2 games since then.
I cannot believe that. That's the one that really gets me. That's probably why I got fired. You can't lose that many games in a row. That starts to be you. Even in an organization that doesn't care what manager they toss out there and doesn't think the manager has anything to do with anything, even then you have to say, Pedro Gaffal seemed like a nice guy. Maybe he could be like a hitting coach somewhere or something like that, or a third base coach, but he was not a good manager.
Yeah.
He was not good with the players. He was not good in interviews. He wasn't good as a strategist.
He's a solid bench coach in Kansas City.
John Manning said, yeah, I mean, he really was. They won a World Series. And yeah, a lot of people said good things about him there. I mean, they might have just been saying that. Maybe he's a bench coach somewhere at his highest rank. But I mean, you can't be bad at all those things. And John Madden used to say, like, if you can at least be good outside of between 7 and 10, meaning before 7 o'clock and after 10 o'clock, he's like, you can be an okay manager if you're just good then. And he was not good then even.
Here's a number I put together for you, and this is the most mind-boggling statistic ever. So if Pedro Grifol ever got to manage again, which I don't think he will, and nobody in their right mind will ever hire him to be a manager.
Unless his mom is fielding a baseball team.
Correct. So if he were to take over another baseball team and say it was the greatest baseball team of all time, let's say they put up the best record ever and they broke a record and they went, let's say they went 124 and 42.
Okay.
Right? Or no, it'd be 124 and wait, what was it? We'll go with a round number. We'll say 120 and 42, right? So that's 162 games. He'd be 80 games over 500. He would still be 19 games under 500 as a manager all time.
Well,
isn't that gross?
Yeah, it is gross, but I'll tell you this: Ned Yost was a pretty terrible manager, and he won a World Series with Kansas City. He was the bench coach. Pedro Grifol was his bench coach, and Ned
but
Yost.
The thing about Yost was Yost could kind of be a leader.
Yes,
you know what I mean. Grifol had none of that.
He could do the outside of 7 to 10. He could do the outside of 7 to 10. John says they were a different team on Monday. You could see it. I think they will end the season on a good note.
See, here's the thing, though. They're not going to. They've already said Grady's not an option long term. That's already been put out there that Grady's not the option long term.
Why they would say it? Like, what is the motivation in saying that?
What is the motivation for anything the White Sox have done over the last 3 years or so?
Scummy there, man. It just has such a scummy, like, it's like a dying cat.
It's an organization that, let's face it, until when we've said this time and time again, until
a shed.
Yes, until the ownership is no longer there, and they get somebody in there that actually wants to win and does away with his abhorred freaking front office.
Yeah,
it's not going to change. Next year, they're going to compete for the second worst record of all time. Like, it's one of those things. You know, we talk about hockey on the show from time to time. Wayne Gretzky, you know, in 1981, I'm doing a documentary on 1981. He set a record for assists with 109 and with points for 164. So I went to go see what the all-time in points was. He set that record in 1981. He broke it 8 times. That's what we're going to be looking at with the White Sox. How many times are they going to break the record for the worst record in baseball?
Before you sell the team, like, this guy, like, could have gone away, like, right before the rebuild. In 2016, 2017, whenever, and could have been fine. He could have sold the team for a good buck. It would have been a team that, like, hey, look, they got a lot of good trades here. Could have gone to a different ownership. Looks like Jeremiah had some bath issues again, possibly.
Look, Jeremiah, the comments are bigger.
Yes, aren't they beautiful?
Something you've never heard before. Jeremiah's bigger now.
And Downing Thomas isn't here. He can't change his moniker 5 times during the show.
Oh, he will. Once he finds this out.
Yeah, he's going to go.
Once he finds this out, he's going to go ape shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But, I mean, yeah, it's hard even talking about him now. It's hard to get up and care about him. I care about some of the players. I mean, Brooks Baldwin looks like he could be a good utility player, maybe a good try-hard guy who starts for 3 or 4 years in the league. You know, he's got some pop in his bat as a good defender. You know, and there is good pitching prospects in there somewhere.
Yeah.
You want to see Colson Montgomery. You want to see if this Miguel Vargas could be good. He seems to have a lot of pop in his bat. It doesn't seem to, everything hasn't come together yet. I mean, so there is interesting storylines that you can root for. And I can watch a baseball game I can watch the Colorado Rockies play the Oakland A's right now. And I'm probably find interest in it. It's just the way I am with baseball, but it's hard. And like you said, we do watch with our hearts, and maybe less and less I'm watching with my heart these days.
It's one of those where no matter what you do with this team,
coming on hot,
it's going to be disappointing, right? Like they're just going to be a disappointment. Every time that you think that they might turn a corner, they find a way to let you down. Just some more guys that they'll trade whenever they actually get good. And that's the black hole that I'm talking about, Jeremiah. That's the thing that I don't think a lot of people are talking about when it comes to the White Sox is no matter who they get, no matter who's coming up. Oscar Cola supposedly is going to get called up now that Grafal's gone and given a chance to succeed with this team, all this stuff. But by the time they're ready to be good, these are all going to be guys that have already been traded for pieces. And you're legitimately 5 years after Jerry sells before they're going to be good again. And you might be 5-10 years away from that. And so it's just going to continue to be this repeating cycle of ineptitude with the White Sox, because look, I hate to tell you guys this. John, Jeremiah, Ryan, listen to me really, really good. Chris Getz is not going to bring you to the promised land.
No.
Chris Getz is not going to be the GM that wins the next World Series for the White Sox. It's not going to happen. He's not going to find the manager. He's not going to go and get the pieces. Who the hell is going to come and play for this organization? What do you name? You look at the major free agents. You think they have a shot in hell at getting Juan Soto? You think they have a shot in hell at getting any of the top 10 free agents on the market at any position? Absolutely not.
5 years ago when they had a little bit of cachet, yes. Now they don't have anything. Like there's
when they were young and up and coming in 2019, 2020. Yeah.
In Chicago, it's a sports team. They're worth more than I think they are worth, but they are worth $2 billion. You're gonna make crazy money. Just sell them. Beauty show. Shanna says she's been missing because of beauty show trips. The definition of arranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. Yes, except the Titanic wasn't
while it's sinking.
Yeah, the Titanic wasn't burning, and it wasn't a load of shit all at the same time.
Well, it was while it was sinking.
I guess.
Yeah, that's kind of where the White Sox are now. I agree with Shannon.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. I mean, I think Josh Barfield might be a GM in this, the assistant GM for the Sox. He might be a GM in this league one day, but Gatz isn't a GM. He's just not. The whole Garrett Crochet thing was just weird.
Yeah.
Where Garrett Crochet says, "Oh, I want to be a starter on another team, and I want to get money." Like that doesn't happen. I want to get money if you want me to pitch in the playoffs. I want to have a bit longer contract. Like that doesn't happen with other teams. Players don't do that on other teams.
Yeah. Well, it's been a week and a half since you left for Hawaii. Are you ready for Fitz gibberish?
I am. It's Fitz gibberish, folks. It's a diatribe of conspiracy theory and an island in the middle of unapologetic and sometimes inaccurate sports talk. Although I think we've done good today, even being off for 2 weeks. The iceberg is Jerry's nose in this platform. Hey! What's he got wrong with big noses? Come on.
I was going to say, if anybody knows about big noses, it's
put
Fitz.
That comment out there on purpose. Other teams don't trade three MLB players for 3 prospects. Yeah. Anyway, it's Fitz gibberish time. And the Olympics ended this past Sunday, which made me think a little bit.
Oh, God.
In the year 1936, when the Olympics were in Berlin, Jesse Owen won 4 gold medals. And it drove Hitler crazy. Yeah, I'm going to talk about Hitler again.
Oh, God.
Oh, Owen's so dominant. Owens so dominated those Olympics, the Nazis thought he had to be on something. I wonder
Week and a
why.
half, and this is what you do.
I wonder why the Nazis thought he was on drugs. Here's Hitler watching the athletes at the 1936 Olympics. What is he? This is not doctored.
Why are we? Oh my God!
Look
We're
at
so
him.
canceled.
We are not canceled. I can't show Hitler. I should showed a black guy's dick. I can show Hitler.
Oh my
God. Anyway, if you see Hitler there, it looked like he was on meth or something. He was bobbing back and forth for those that are just listening. Of course, he was incorrect, though, about that and so many other things. Back then, the Olympics shocked not only the sporting world, but shook the moral arc of the human race forever. Now, what do we have? We have a balding LeBron James who once apologized to China for calling Taiwan a country, lighting the Olympic torch. And that is tame compared to the human rights violations of the International Olympic Committee. We have and I'll give a few examples. We have the Rio Olympics just 8 years ago, where the government was promised that if they had the games, they would build them a new sewage system. That never happened. And the stadiums are now abandoned wastelands. The 22 games in China were pushed through despite obvious human rights violations in the building of the Olympic Village there. The 2002 Utah games? What is this? The 2002 Utah games were made possible by a bribery scandal. The country who bribed the most, the Olympic Committee members, got the games. And the 2014 Sochi Olympic Games in Russia, well, they beat them all. They were the winter games that took place in the warmest city in Russia, where it's 60 degrees in February, driving costs up to a record $50 billion. And they too exploited migrant workers in many ways. One in particular was not giving them the proper equipment to tie off to build the arena roofs for the Olympic Village. One worker said when walking the grounds, you could hear the thuds of workers hitting the ground daily. Yes, daily. Oh, and what are those stadiums supporting today? Well, Real Sports on HBO had Bernard Goldberg. You don't need to know who that is. One of their journalists go to Sochi 2 years after the Olympics. He can tell you what the stadiums are used for today.
And we found everything else pretty much empty too. The giant media center, the main hotel by the arenas, the athletes' village, covered with signs that read, "For sale." Oh, and that $600 million stadium, it's been used only for the opening and closing ceremonies of the games.
Wah, 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 wah. Yes, I'm not the only crazy one either. Bernard Goldberg also talked to a Russian chess legend, Garry Kasparov. I doubt you'd think I mentioned Garry Kasparov on the show. And guess what Olympics he compared to the 2014 Sochi Olympics.
Well, you're not comparing the Sochi games to the 1936 Hitler games, are you?
Why not?
Well, Hitler was Hitler. That's why not.
Wait a second. Hitler in 1936? Let's go back. In 1936, we're not talking about Hitler as we know him in history. Hitler was 1933, 1934, 1935, 1936. By the way, in 1938, he was a respected European leader, signed a treaty with Britain, with France. Just, the comments about Hitler in 1936 were very complimentary.
As that Olympic flame dims like the mind of a coke-fueled 80s rocker or Joe Biden's train of thought, we are left in the ruins of another corrupt Olympic Games where athletes are still not paid a single cent for their sacrifices while the committee makes billions. There is an old political quote that solidifies this entire gibberish. Every good cause, or Olympics, begins as a movement, becomes a business, and eventually degenerates into a racket. Olympic Committee, pay the athletes, have every Summer Olympics in Greece, and stop propping up totalitarian governments, or we'll call Doc Brown and take you back in time to introduce you to this guy. And that's Fitz gibberish. Combs. What is this?
This is the Australian breakdancer at the Olympics. And this is proof that I too can be an Olympic athlete.
You can break dance like this? I doubt
Dude,
it.
Watch. Just keep watching. Hold on. Oh, crap.
Who is this guy?
I don't know. Look at those ups.
He jumped like 3 inches.
That's a she.
Oh boy. Here we go.
Now watch this move. Here it is right here. These are some fantastic moves.
This is
You
the
haven't seen this?
Olympics.
You haven't seen this?
I have not seen that. Nope.
Oh my
I
goodness.
haven't watched the Olympic. I watched these Olympics pretty well. I saw some of the Simone Biles stuff. I obviously watched the basketball game, which I thought was great. But
did you see the Olympic pole vaulter who lost a medal?
I did not see that either. No, I did not see that either.
Okay.
Nope.
All right. Well,
yeah, I still have a little bit more to say. I just think even the basketball team that won in shocking fashion, you even thought they weren't going to win. Jeremiah says the pride of Australia. You're fired before you hit the ground.
Yeah.
But anyway,
right.
Mathed up Hitler.
So I've got something else to show you.
Go ahead.
Hit share screen on the thing. Let me know when you're sharing.
Why do I need to share screen?
No. Just bring up my shared screen.
Okay.
The one that's on there.
Yeah, it's on there.
Ready?
Yep.
Watch this pole vaulter. This is how he loses his medal.
And then it seemed to just be sloppy as
I might have gotten away with it if it wasn't for those blasted kids.
If that man, listen, let me ask you a question.
Do you watch any of these sports? Do you watch any of these sports when they're not in the Olympics? Then why am I watching it? Does the U.S. basketball team beat the Celtics? I don't think they do.
No, they don't.
I don't think they do. And the Celtics do. I mean, we could go.
They barely beat South Sudan.
True.
Look,
they barely beat France.
You're in a room.
Oh, they barely beat us. What is it? Was it Serbia? Yeah.
You're in a room with 9 Olympic athletes, and 8 of them are like, "Hey, I've got a story about how I won a medal." But one of them is like, "Hey, look, I've got a story about how I lost a medal because my dick is too big." Which story do you want to hear?
Well, what do I the better question is, would I rather want the Olympic gold or the dick? And for any man, that is a very
that's got to be. Is that not the best way to lose an Olympic medal?
If you're going to lose an Olympic medal, it's that way. It's not like
it's got to be that way.
Running or being.
There's no other way to lose an Olympic medal than
because
your dick is so big that. Look, I'm Irish. I would have cleared that pole by about 6 feet. there is no chance that is terrible.
Thanks, Charles.
That is the best way to lose an Olympic medal by far. But here, let me give you a little bit of a rebuttal on your Fitz gibberish, though.
All right, let's get the rebuttal.
Here's a little bit of a rebuttal on your Fitz gibberish.
Would like to offer a rebuttal?
The Olympic athletes do get paid. They don't get paid from the Olympic committees, but they get endorsements. They do make money, and that guy's got whole new underwear ads, Trojan condom ads, all sorts of things. I think this is true. He got a new underwear ad, he got a new Trojan ad, and I believe that there was a porn site that offered him like over $1 million to be their new guy.
If the guy on Hard Knocks who's saying I'm proud to be an
I
American,
can talk about this guy's thing and then talk about Hard Knocks.
and then the guy did take his clothes off while he was singing the Bears theater room. If he played for the Bears this year, it would look like I'm sorry he got injured. Looks like he's not gonna play. But if he played this year, he'd be one of the low guys on the totem pole. He'd still be getting $500,000 a year. That's the thing with the Olympics. Yes, the top 1% get money, or the top 1% of 1% of 1%. The other guys who are maybe get a bronze medal, maybe they're in 5th place, who are training with these people who are making them better, they get jack squat. And the Olympic Committee is obviously entirely corrupt, and they want to have these games in totalitarian governments where they can exploit cheap labor.
Jeremiah says you're Irish. You would have just gotten drunk and hit someone with the pole. It's true. But no, look, I don't have any problem with the athletes not getting paid through the Olympic Committee. I mean, the Olympic Committee is none of these athletes are complaining about not getting paid. None of these athletes are not really.
I just didn't have the videos. Yes, lots of them do. Lots of them do.
The track and field, the guy who went, the track and field guy, Noah, whatever the hell his name is, all he was complaining about was NBA players calling themselves world champions when they win the trophy.
I'll send you some videos of people bitching about it, and people who have been injured as Olympians who haven't been paid right for that.
Don't go. Nobody's forcing you to be an Olympic athlete.
Well, you are kind of brainwashed into thinking that the Olympics are good. I think at some point we have some
brainwashed into thinking everything's good.
Not really. I mean, we're not brainwashed into.
Then why is it every time somebody's in a war-torn country do they try to get to the United States? Have you been to the United States?
No one's saying cancer's good, and it's in our water. It's in our goddamn hair products.
Speaking of in the water, did you hear about the Olympic athletes that were getting E. coli that were doing the decathlon in that river in France?
Yeah. Well, it happened in Rio de Janeiro too. Because
did you know that river, the swimming in that river, has been banned since 1926, and they put Olympic athletes in it?
That is well before this happened. Come on, dude. What is he on? And look at the guy in the binoculars. He's like playing it cool.
Maybe he has Tourette's.
Dude.
Maybe he had to pee. Yeah, too much beer. Anything could have happened.
I don't know. He's on something there, man. Look at some of the speeches, for Christ's sake. But anyway.
Where do you want to go? NFC West, NFC South?
Let's go NFC South.
All right, we're gonna go NFC South. Then.
Go down south, all the way south.
Let's start with the Panthers because I think we both know where they're going to.
I'm with the Panthers. That was fun. I mean, do we even have to say who the key departures are?
I mean, all of them.
Yeah, they were key.
Look, there are a couple of additions that I do like. I do like the wide receiver additions. Xavier Leggett, I think, is going to be a great wide receiver in this league. I think he's very.
Jadeveon Clowney is a big one. Even though he's
Deontay Johnson, adding Deontay Johnson was big. Getting him away from Pittsburgh. So there was some good additions, but look, I mean, this is still a really, really bad football team.
Is this the worst division in the NFL?
It might be.
Anyway, I hate this. I'm ending at the beginning, but
yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to see how they do. How does Bryce Young fare in his second year in the league?
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Where there's some growth there, but I mean, look, they start the season with the Saints. They play the Chargers, the Raiders, the Bengals, the Bears, the Falcons, the Commanders. I mean, all of these teams, every team I look at is better than them. I don't think that they should be favored in any one of these games that they have on their schedule. I just think they're a 3-14, maybe 4-13 type team battling to try to maybe get a number one pick again.
Falcons? Is this breaking news?
No, the Panthers.
No, look at the screen. Falcons just got, I don't know, off the Patriots? Was there a trade? Come on, Jeremiah. Give us the news.
Killing me, Smalls.
We'll get there in a second. But Panthers, let's go record, and I'll look up the news.
Pat Steele, Pro Bowl linebacker, Judon to the Falcons.
Yeah,
Yes,
Judon.
that is breaking news.
3rd round pick.
Wow.
Matthew Judon. That's a pretty decent pickup.
That's a huge pickup for the Falcons. But yeah, no, as far as the Panthers go, I'm going 4-13. Where you at?
I'm surprised they didn't trade for another quarterback. 4-13. God, Jesus, they gotta win one more game, don't they? Or did they go 3-14 last
not
year?
With that schedule, they don't.
5-12.
5-12.
Put me on there. Maybe Bryce.
All right.
A couple games for him. The midget.
All right, let's go to some better teams. Let's go to New Orleans.
New Orleans.
They're an interesting one.
Spencer Rattler.
Who I guess is quietly becoming
I saw this.
a dude with the Saints. I mean, look, they upgraded their offensive line with Fuaga.
Chase Young.
They added Cedric Wilson, added Chase Young, Willie Gay Jr., and Kool-Aid. The draft of Kool-Aid McKinstry as well. And they didn't really lose much. I mean, you know, they lose Jameis Winston. I think that's their biggest loss. I think he was the better quarterback on that team.
You like Jameis Winston? I don't know where.
I do. The guy got screwed out of being a quarterback in this league. His last time he was a quarterback in this league, he was the only quarterback in the league that threw for 5,000 yards and 30 touchdowns, but he threw for 29 interceptions.
I thought he had 30 interceptions.
Or 30 interceptions. That's fine, but
a lot of interceptions.
Brett Favre made a whole career out of throwing 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions.
Well, first of all, that was a different NFL, and you know that they throw a lot of safe throws.
But he also threw for over 5,000 yards and 30 plus touchdowns. I mean, there's something there.
Well, he has talent.
And he did that in one of the most complex offenses in the league. Those Bruce Arians offenses are really complex. And he was able to do that with that offense.
You're not convincing me. You're not. He's had his chance.
I don't need to convince you. He's never gonna get a chance to prove me wrong or you right or anything.
We got Lovie Smith fired.
But no, the Saints are an interesting one in this division. I do think that this is a really bad division. Their schedule is pretty tough outside of the division. They have the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Chiefs, the Broncos, the Chargers, the Browns, the Rams, the Giants, the Commanders, the Packers, and the Raiders. So it's a really tough schedule outside of the division. I think that this is a 7-win team. I've got them at 7-10.
6-11.
6-11.
Yep.
I think that they can win a few. They'll win some games they're not supposed to. And I think that they'll win a few within the division. So that's why I'm at 7-10. They could be worse than that, though. I mean, very easily could be worse than that.
Yeah.
Let's go to the Atlanta Falcons.
All right.
Things are going to start getting interesting because I think these final two teams are two teams that can compete for this division.
They somehow, for some reason, got two quarterbacks.
Yeah, but now they just went out and got
Darnell Mooney, who was one of the worst in the league at 50-50 balls, and he dropped a ball that was right in his hands while he was sitting down in the end zone, which is a problem for me.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And they got Kirk Cousins, who loves Creed. Pretty good regular season quarterback, though. And they do have a lot of guys there. The Drake London. Now they got Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Drake London. They went and got our guy, Darnell Mooney.
Stop.
What?
They lost Cordell Patterson. I think he's a lot better than fucking Darnell Mooney, even though I guess he's a running back now.
Yeah. They don't got Cordero Patterson.
No, they got rid of him. Falcons key departure.
Yeah.
Are you looking at
They got Bijan. No, I'm looking at the depth chart right now.
They got rid of him. He's the key departure. He's probably the big key departure. Desmond Ritter. I get
See, they've got two really good running backs. They didn't need Cordero Patterson anymore. Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, both very good. Tyler Algier was good last year. Bijan Robinson, I think Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts are going to be two guys that have breakout seasons. And I know they went and got, Kirk Cousins, Michael Penix Jr., Rondale Moore, I think is a good addition for them as well. I really like Rondale Moore. I think that this team can be very good. I think it's going to depend on the health of Kirk Cousins, though. And when you're a 40 or 30, whatever year-old quarterback coming off of a torn Achilles, I don't know how much I can trust you.
I don't trust that GM, that front office either.
Yeah, but I like the the fact that they went away from Arthur Smith. I like a lot of the things that they've done. Now going and acquiring Judon, that's going to beef up that defense a lot. They do have a tough stretch first 5 weeks. Pittsburgh, Philly, Kansas City, New Orleans, Tampa Bay. I mean, they've got to be, to me, they've got to be 3-2 in that stretch.
Yeah.
In order to have a good season and compete for this division, because then they get Carolina, Seattle, who should be down this year. They get another game against Tampa Bay. Then they get the Cowboys, New Orleans, Denver, the Chargers, Minnesota, Vegas, the Giants, Washington, and Carolina. Really soft second half of the schedule, so they can really take advantage of a soft schedule. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go 10-7 for this.
I'm 10-7.
I'm going 10-7 for Atlanta. I like them a lot. You're going 10-7 as well? Yeah,
I would have bet. I don't know. I don't know everything about every player in the NFL. Neither does anybody who's talking on this podcast. And so I don't know if I could trust any other ancillary decisions, or any other. I just can't trust the front office, or else I'd have them at 11-6 with this division. They should be easily 11-6, 12-5. But
I agree.
I don't know. 10-7.
So then we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, team that won the division last year at 9-8. Jalen McMillan, Sterling Shepard, Graham Barton, Randy Gregory, Chris Broswell, Tyke Smith, and Jordan Whitehead. So McMillan, Broswell, and Smith are all rookies, but key departures are Ryan Jensen, Shaq Barrett, who went to the Dolphins and then decided, you know what, I don't want to play in Miami, I retire. Devin White and Carlton Davis are their key departures. I like this team. I do. I like their quarterback. I like Baker Mayfield quite a bit.
Yeah, he was pretty good last year.
But I don't know, like, something about, picking this team to win 10, 11 games. I just don't know if I can do it, especially with this schedule. Commanders, Lions, Broncos, Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, Niners, Cowboys. I mean, all these teams outside of the division are all teams that are just, going to be brutally tough. I think that this team is an 8-9 team. I think that I agree with Jeremiah Murray. They take a step back. This is an 8-9 football team, and we've only got one team over 500. And the Atlanta Falcons, let's be honest, they could easily win this division at 9-8. So I'm going 8-9 for the Bucs.
Yeah, I'll go 7-10 just to be against you.
Damn, and we're so close in our division.
I don't think there are going to be that many teams in this division that are close to 5. I can't put them at 8 or 9 or 9-8 because I don't think there's two winning teams in this division.
Yeah. So we both have Atlanta winning the division at 10-7. We both got the Bucs coming in second, and then the Saints, and then the Panthers. So let's head over to the NFC West. See if we can get some difference of opinions. We've been really close on pretty much all of our.
Let's start with the Rams
divisions. Okay. They get who I thought was probably the steal of the draft in the second round, and that's Blake Corum. I really love that pickup. I think Blake Corum is. I think he is the next King Henry. He's got the size. He can run you over. He can go east to west. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. This is a guy that, and he's got a crazy work ethic. a lot like King Henry did. Blake Corum coming out of Michigan. I think people are sleeping on him. They also went and got Jared Verse, the edge rusher, in the first round. Braden Fisk, the D tackle, they got him in the second round, I believe, as well. But then getting Tre'Davious White and Darius Williams, also key additions for them. Not too much losing. I mean, you do lose Aaron Donald,
which is
that's the big loss there. Did you do enough? Is Jared Verse going to do enough to give you what you need, what you're losing from Aaron Donald? We'll see. We'll see if that can happen. I mean, everybody was talking about Jared Verse possibly being a top 3 pick in the draft.
Or the Bears picking him. The Bears,
so
on him a little bit, or at least that was the rumors.
Yeah. So we'll see what they can get from him. I just think for me, losing Aaron Donald, I think, is bigger than what people think. I don't think that this team is necessarily. I didn't think they were that great last year. And then their schedule this year, I mean, outside of the division, again, is brutal. I like to look at the defenses that you're playing, and your defenses outside of your division that you're playing, because the defenses inside your division are already really good anyway. But then outside your division, you play the Lions, you play the Bears, you play the Packers, you play the Dolphins, you play the Eagles, you play the 49ers, you play the Bills. I mean, this is a tough schedule for the Rams. But I can't see Matthew Stafford not, and I know he's already been battling some injuries here in the preseason. I believe hamstring injury, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to put him. Just because Matthew Stafford's their quarterback, I'm going to go 9-8.
I thought he had one of the better performances in the playoffs. I know they lost, but look back at that performance. He was ridiculously good in that. And, he has all the little angles he puts on his throws. He was really good in the playoffs. I just don't think they have enough this year. I mean, and I think the Cardinals will be better.
Yeah, I do too.
So I think that might mess with them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have them at 7-10.
7-10. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about the Cardinals.
All right. Let's put them up.
We both just said we thought they were going to be better. They can't really be much worse. They were 4-13 last year. But they did go out. You're going to get hopefully a full healthy year out of Kyler Murray. You have to assume health there.
You might have a generational wide receiver.
Yeah, you add Marvin Harrison Jr. and Darius Robinson, the other edge rusher out of Mizzou that was highly touted coming out of college.
Yep.
They had a really good draft. Did the Cardinals? I praised them a lot on the first night of the draft, and then I praised them a lot as the draft went on. I believe they had like 4 or 5 third-round picks, and they went really well. So for me, with their out of division schedule being the Bills, being the Lions, being the Packers, the Bears, all the teams we just mentioned, with the Rams, I think they're going to be better. I just don't know if they're that much better with what they've done yet. I don't know if I can trust Kyler Murray just yet. I'm going to put this team at 7-10, right where you had the Rams.
You were straining there.
Yeah.
I'll put this team where you had the Rams, 9-8.
Okay.
I think there'd be
5-game improvement.
I'm a little higher on Kyler Murray than you are. I think he's more of a quarterback.
Everybody's higher on Kyler Murray than he is.
yeah, than he is. I think he's a better quarterback than people say he is. I think he's going to have a really good year. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to make him look good.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So 9-8. I'm at 7-10.
And I think we lost Brandon. Yes, it's my show now. Hell yeah. I'm taking over. We got a comment rolling in here from Jeremiah Murray. Their gym is actually really good. Just the same they saddled with Kyler. Call of Duty. Because he plays Call of Duty too much. So what if he plays Call of Duty too much? What happened? What happened?
All of a sudden, StreamYard just quit. It said StreamYard having an issue.
Oh, didn't quit on me. Could it have been the Wi-Fi? Could it have been?
No, because I was still on other sites and none of the other sites froze up. It was just StreamYard.
You lied to me. You said your finger was a gun.
Listen, even if my internet does die, terrible, which my cable runs off of the internet as well, and that didn't even flinch. So even if it was that, it's still worse when it happens to you because you sell cable at the high
for a rebuttal.
Sell Wi-Fi. That is your job. You sell it to companies. You cannot come on a broadcast.
I don't sell the actual Wi-Fi. I don't sell the actual.
You sell the equipment that
yes.
Okay, the equipment that is in your house per se.
No, it's actually not in my house. It's not in my house. I will be using the equipment because I got some, but it's just not installed yet.
No, look. Yeah, look, the Call of Duty thing is real. Every year, right around the Call of Duty release, Kyler Murray goes down for 2 to 3 weeks.
You should get some top tier Wi-Fi. I know a guy. Shut up, Jeremiah. I'll you know what? I'll show you a guy, Jeremiah. A guy who loves to watch the Olympics. He loves watching the Olympics. He can't help himself.
So we're talking about the Seahawks.
I'll show you a guy. Anyway.
The Seahawks add Sam Howell, Visca Chenault, Christian Haynes, Byron Murphy, and Jerome Baker, but they lose Drew Lock, Damian Lewis, Colby Parkinson, Will Dissly, Jordan Brooks, and Bobby Wagner. I don't know what to make of this. I think their biggest loss out of all those that we just talked about, I think that their biggest loss is actually Shane Waldron.
Really?
Yeah, I think what Shane Waldron was able to do
with Geno
Smith, I mean, and now he gets to do that with Caleb Williams. I mean, it's going to be interesting to watch here in Chicago, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But I think that he was their biggest. Like, how do you recover from that? How good can you be now without Shane Waldron? Was it, is Geno Smith going to be the same quarterback learning a new offense with a new offensive coordinator? Is Geno Smith going to be able to do the things he was able to do before Shane Waldron left? We've seen here in Chicago time and time again what it's like when a quarterback has to go through multiple offensive coordinators, right?
Not good.
So, I mean, he does have a few more weapons over there in Seattle. Obviously, DK Metcalf,
and
Lockett,
yep.
and Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yes.
So they got Noah Fant at the tight end. So they do still have some weapons there. Their schedule is kind of brutal. It's outside of the division. They have to play Denver. They play New England. They play Miami. They play Detroit, San Francisco. Or I'm sorry, outside of the division. They play Atlanta. They play Buffalo, San Francisco, the Jets, Green Bay, the Bears later on in the season. For me, again, I'm going to put this team, just because they've been good and they've shown fight, and every time you count them out and you think they're going to be bad, they're good. I'm going to put them right there with the Rams at 9-8.
Ooh. I'm 8-9. I was 8-9 the whole way. You're waffling back and forth over there. I don't know where you're going to go. You're seesawing.
I'm trying to stop you from copying off me.
Now the team that's interesting.
The only team in the division that I think is interesting.
The San Francisco Treat.
Yeah. So they lose Sam Darnold, who is now the starter in Minnesota by default because they lose JJ McCarthy to season-ending surgery today. But they also lose Chase Young, who we just talked about. And they add Leonard Floyd. They add Ricky Pearsall. Malik Collins, Jordan Elliott, draft Renardo Green. I don't know that this team needed to add much. I don't know that this team really needed to do much. I really like what they are doing. I love Brock Purdy. I think people give him a bad rap.
Whoa.
What? What am I missing? Did you just lose sound? Fucking internet again? Fucking guy. At any rate, I like Brock Purdy. I like what Brock Purdy did. I'm getting a thumbs down from Fitz apparently. I don't know what's going on with his mic. He's a rookie. He's muted, so maybe trying to unmute the mic. Oh, you can't unmute the mic. I don't know.
I'm back.
You're back?
I'm back.
Okay. So what are you saying whoa about when I say I like Brock Purdy?
Because you said you loved him. It got a little weird.
I do love Brock Purdy. I love the things that he was able to do last year. I mean, when you're talking about a guy who throws for 4,280 yards, 31 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, I mean, we would take that all day, every day as a Chicago Bears quarterback, will we not?
Yeah, we would take that. I mean, we never had a team around an offensive side of the ball around a quarterback like he's had. But
they do have Christian McCaffrey. It seems like they're going to be able to hang on to Brandon Ayuk. I guess they're really close on a deal over there. Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Jawan Jennings. I mean, the list goes on. Kyle Juszczyk. This team is really, really good.
Yeah.
I like this team. They NFC champions last year. Their schedule is pretty tough too. The Jets, Minnesota, LA, New England, Arizona, Seattle, Kansas City, Dallas, Tampa Bay, Seattle, Green Bay, Buffalo, Chicago, LA, Miami, Detroit, and Arizona. I mean, they do have a gauntlet of a schedule. A lot of it, I'm worried about CMC's health this year. Just because he's already battling foot injuries in camp, and it just seems like it's been a couple years since he's been hurt. It's about that time. He's getting older. He's not getting younger. But I still really like this football team. I think they take a step back from last year. What were they last year? 12-5 last year, I believe.
I think so. Yeah.
I'm gonna give them a step back, and I'm gonna say that they win this division at 11-6.
Yeah, I mean, with Trent Williams is still not
up in the air.
Yeah, he's still a holdout. Now Ayuk is still a holdout. I think Trent Williams is more important to that team. He might be the most important player on that team, the best left tackle in the league, and it's not even close. But I still got them. I just think this division isn't very great. I'll stay at 12-5. It's hard not to have them at 12-5. I mean,
Jeremiah Murray tried making a joke. Former baseball great Ricky Pearsall. It wasn't it Jimmy Pearsall, the former baseball great.
It was Jimmy Pearsall who went insane, did run the bases the opposite way, and was in the booth with Harry Carey for a little while.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was crazy. He was certifiably crazy. He had to take pills for it. So Harry Carey, once Jimmy Pearsall said something to him, and Harry Carey said, "You're crazy, Jimmy." And Jimmy said, "I have pills, Harry, that say if I take these, I am certifiably not crazy. Can you say the same thing?"
That's fantastic.
Harry had nothing to say. That was a good booth. From what I hear, I wasn't alive at the time.
So we're kind of close on this division too.
Yeah,
we both go San Francisco, Seattle.
I want to disagree with you.
We've got the Rams and Cardinals flip flop, but who cares?
Yeah.
So all right, let's talk Bears before we go.
All right.
Let's talk about this team. And if you want to hear us talk more Bears, you can do so on Bears game days at McNally's, baby. A lot of you guys are already on the invite list for the event. We will be there September 8th at 11 a.m. Join the best sports talk show in the Windy City at McNally's on Bears game days for a live game pregame show. You'll have guests and specials, drink specials, all sorts of specials.
Food
It's a great spot.
specials.
It's a great place. We're gonna do a fantastic job. I'm working on getting a couple of guests over from the radio station to try to beef it up a little bit, but it's going to be a fantastic time. So definitely come out and check us out. Week 1, September 8th, when the Bears beat the shit out of the Tennessee Titans. Join us then. But what was your initial reaction off of the first episode of Hard Knocks? Because I got to tell you, I was pretty pumped.
Seemed like a loose team. Seemed like a cool team. Seemed like a team you'd want to play with. Minus Tyson Bagent. It's just weird. But we'll talk about that later when he's jiggling around when he says it.
Oh my God. Yeah, he was pretending like he had a seizure. I mean, you talk about the guy who's only going to make, what, $900K this year, and his starter signing bonus is $25.5 billion.
He's the second string quarterback.
Yeah, look, I know that they had
talking about this, but are you sure he is?
I think so. They really love him. I know Brett Rippon came out and showed up in the first preseason game. I mean, at this point, I don't really care. As long as we don't need the backup.
Yeah.
For the Bears, I don't care, because I really like what I'm seeing out of Caleb Williams. I really like what Caleb Williams is bringing to the table, and not just in the first preseason game, which I kind of watched. I had to watch it in passing. I haven't been able to go back and actually watch it, just because I was working that day. I was at the radio station. I had it on in the back of the room, but paying attention to the clock and doing all that stuff, it was hard for me to see. But I did see some passes from Caleb Williams that I was like, oh wow, oh my. I did see some stupid passes, some bad mistake passes that he made too. I was like, why'd you throw that there?
Nunez in the back of the end zone.
Yeah.
I've seen that pass a lot from Bears quarterbacks, but
yeah. So, but man, that throw, that 40 yards on a rope off of his back foot to Kmet on the sideline in a spot where only Kmet could catch it was like, holy cow.
The way he pump fakes the guy, the way he does a naked bootleg the correct way. And I know Justin Fields had trouble with that play. Just everything he does, the detail of how he does things, where he's placing the ball, not only when he's throwing it, but where he's placing it when he's moving around in the pocket. That's why this guy didn't have a lot of fumbles.
Well, and here's the other thing too that I like about it. When you watch him throw, and I think there's only been one other quarterback that the Bears have had that I could say this about, and it wasn't even Justin Fields. And you know how I feel about Justin Fields. I love Justin Fields. It looks easy. He doesn't look like he's trying to throw the ball that far and that hard. It doesn't look like he's trying to. It just naturally glides off his hands. And the last quarterback that the Bears had that I could say that about is Jay Cutler. Where he's throwing the ball hard and it just looks so natural and so fluid and so easy.
He's like a pitcher where he doesn't look like he's throwing it hard and the gun says 99 miles an hour.
Yeah.
His feet were off the ground on the Kmet pass. I'd have to
even crazier.
And I wish I had it. Yeah, then it's an even crazier pass. Your feet aren't supposed to be off the ground, but I want to look at that again. He does square his shoulders really well.
Yes.
And just does all the little parts really well.
Well, and that's my favorite part about the first episode, because I haven't seen the second episode yet. I'm gonna watch it here tonight.
I think you're wrong. He was supposed to go to the back pylon. I don't know. I think Caleb Williams wanted him to go to the back pylon. That doesn't mean necessarily he has to do that. He's talking about on the Dunze throw to the back of the end zone.
Yeah, it could be a miscommunication between the quarterback and the wide receiver. Yeah. There's a lot of times where that happens, where people are like, "Oh wow, that was a terrible throw." Well, really, the quarterback made the right pass and it went the wrong way, and it's just one of those things. The thing that I like about Hard Knocks, though, and what I watched on the first episode, was when they didn't just show Caleb being great, right? They showed him struggling a little bit.
Yep.
And Caleb actually goes to Shane Waldron. Hey, what did I see there? What was this? What was that? And he's learning and he's absorbing. And he goes, okay. And then he goes out and he reruns it. And he does exactly the way that him and Shane Waldron were talking about, and it's like butter. And I like a kid that is going to learn. I like a kid that's going to take charge. I like the fact that, you have veterans like DeAndre Swift coming up to Caleb Williams during practice and being like, hey, kid, you have the keys. This is your car. So if you see something that's not right, drive it. Drive the car. Say something.
Yeah.
And you've got veterans that are already putting this kid in charge, and he is being brought along the right way. I really wish, and it's funny to say because I always said I don't want the Bears on Hard Knocks. I really wish we could have seen the Bears on Hard Knocks once under Justin Fields to see what it was like around Justin Fields, and
To
if
see what
Justin
the
Fields was given the
differences
same,
are.
yeah. And it's just, I really would like to know that, but at this point, all that's in the past, and I'm looking towards the future. And right now, the future looks really, really bright for the Chicago Bears. I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl this year. I'm not saying that they are going to be a juggernaut. I'm not saying that they're the best team in the NFC. But I like what I'm seeing. And even if they are just a wild card team this year, even if they're just a 9-8 team that finishes just outside of the wild card team, anything worse than 9-8, we're probably going to have a lot of discussion about. We're probably going to have to figure out what the hell is going on. But Justin Fields' ceiling is here, and the greatest Bears quarterback season of all time is here. And that to me is like, it's leaps and bounds beyond anything that I've seen. And watching him play, the little bit that I got to watch him play.
You said Justin Fields. You might.
I'm sorry, Caleb Williams' ceiling is here. Hell, Justin Fields is about to be the starter in Pittsburgh. Who called that? Like but anyway, I like what I'm seeing from the Bears, and I've heard people, and I actually changed somebody's mind the other day on the radio station. One of the hosts, they were talking about the Bears, and I waited until the break, and during the break I said, hey, I think you're missing the point about the Bears. And he's like, what? Because he was talking about how he didn't like the fact that that the head coach of the Bears was going to be Matt Eberflus again. And I said, here's the thing. I said, the Bears are they've kind of got, how you have a 2 quarterback system or a 2 running back system. The Bears almost have a 2 head coach system where Shane Waldron is running this side of it and Matt Eberflus is running this side of it. And they're going to go with it that way. And Matt Eberflus has the title. Matt Eberflus is going to answer the questions. Matt Eberflus is going to go in front of the media. But don't get it twisted. I don't think that this is just Matt Eberflus's team. I think this is a group effort. And I think that is the right way to run this franchise. I think it's the right way to run any franchise. I think that's the way that they run it out in Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the way they run it out in Kansas City. I think, I think one of the interesting parts too was when Nick Saban came, and I'm not really a huge fan of Nick Saban, but I think he had a lot of interesting things to say about how to motivate players. So Caleb seems to already be at Justin's floor, which is crazy. I think he means ceiling, but possibly.
Yeah, I think that
I don't think we can jump the gun like that.
I think Caleb. Well, I think what you're going to see from Justin Fields out in Pittsburgh is people are going to be like, "Where was that in Chicago?" And I think the difference is coaching.
Yeah,
I think the difference is coaching. I think the difference is the atmosphere that you're around. Look, Pittsburgh's just as cutthroat. The Pittsburgh Steelers fans just as cutthroat as Chicago Bears fans. Pittsburgh is all about their football. And so I wouldn't say you have less pressure to succeed in Pittsburgh, but you've got a better structure around you than anything that Justin Fields had here in Chicago.
Yeah,
the structure that's being built here in Chicago is new.
Oh, yeah, it's way different than it was year one. I mean, go back
It was way different than it was last year.
Games, yeah, I mean, it is. And hopefully this offensive line is going to be good enough. The play I'm about to show, the offensive line does not play well in, but I think it's what separates Caleb Williams, not just from Justin Fields, because it definitely does, but it separates Caleb Williams from, I think, a lot of players in the league. This will be JT O'Sullivan who's talking about the play, but just how people who scout tape all day long, which is what JT O'Sullivan does. Don't look at his career stats because you might never listen to him again, but he does do a good way of cutting down tape. And I think this is kind of, to me, his reaction and what Williams actually does, which is something I've never seen a quarterback do either. And this is not even it is a pass play, but he never throws the ball, or he throws it out of bounds, actually. Just wanted to show this play because I think this is something that separates him and why I had him as the number 1 quarterback in the draft.
That there are going to be many chuckles, I feel like, with this guy. We've seen, and I love when someone exits out the pocket and they've got the feel to look and peek behind. Normally it's peek behind. First player I ever saw do it was Patrick Mahomes. It's just unbelievable awareness, in my opinion. Now, the part that I've never seen is as you exit and you peek both ways, you extend the ball almost like an NBA player trying to take a foul. Like you're trying to get the ball away. He's intentional with the ball placement here in his carriage. Okay, so watch him peek. So peek, and extend.
It's I like to have the awareness while you're being rushed, and if someone's behind him, he doesn't fumble that ball. There's a lot of he never does that. At least in a lot of the college plays I saw of him, but there's a lot of stuff where he protects the ball where almost every other quarterback would have fumbled in situations like that. And it just brings me back to a play he had in Oklahoma years ago, and I'm sure you've seen this play. Well, it only takes 10 seconds that I want to show.
3rd and 1. Brooks this time spins off one. They get stopped. No, Williams took it out of his arms.
I mean, just ridiculous the way he can think like that within a game. I think that's what you want in a quarterback. Now, I know there's so many other levels to being a quarterback and things you
football
have to do.
IQ.
Yeah, it's just that football IQ. It's it's not a lot of quarterbacks have that. And I think he's going to do things and protect a ball more than you think he would. And even his first year to do something like that in his first preseason game. Yeah, the throw is amazing. And there's only like 8 or 9 quarterbacks who can make that throw, but there is 8 or 9 quarterbacks. I don't know if there's 8 or 9 quarterbacks in the league or even a couple who are going to do that with the ball when they're running out of the pocket like that and think that there's somebody behind them. Like that was just, to me, that was pretty amazing. And just the reaction of a guy like JT O'Sullivan. I've watched a lot of his tape and a lot of his film, not a lot make it on our show. I've never seen him react like that to a play. I really haven't. And
I look
in that game.
When you're talking about like guys like JT O'Sullivan, RG3 put out one there about Caleb Williams too.
With the throw.
But here's the thing: Kurt Warner broke down the same film, and he was seeing things a little bit differently. I trust Kurt Warner's quarterback IQ a little bit more than I trust RG3 or JT O'Sullivan. Yeah. So I mean, he wasn't ripping Caleb Williams, but he was pointing out, hey guys, these are some learning spots here. These are some learning spots there. You know what I mean? So it was good to watch a collection of all of the videos, right? And I don't want to get I woke up the next morning. I posted something about 17-0, 16-1, the Bears after watching Hard Knocks. Look, obviously I was kidding. I don't think that is a 17-0 football, but that's what Hard Knocks did for me. It was like it made me look like I could have been the Olympic pole vaulter because it got me pretty excited. And I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty excited about what the Bears are going to be this year. It's going to be fun to watch. So, and I'm gonna go watch week 2 now. The Bears play what, Saturday?
I think it is Saturday. Yeah. I mean, I think you also got Austin Booker, who had a great game too. I mean, Austin Booker had 2.5 sacks. He looked really good. Yeah, he goes unblocked the one time, but he really pushed through some guys where you thought that was not something Austin Booker was going to be able to do. If he could be a competent edge rusher, like if he could be like a Mark Anderson or a Leonard Floyd in their rookie year, with Sweat on the other side, I mean, they could, if they have a competent rush with their top 4 defensive linemen, this defense is going to be top 10 for sure, maybe top 5.
Yeah, and Jeremiah Myers, the Caleb run come from him reading the defense and realizing his first read wasn't there, and he had room to
Yeah,
run.
he does pull down the ball too soon in that play. There is a mistake in that play. I was just saying the intangibles are there.
Yeah, no, I like everything that I'm seeing. I can't wait to see the next game and the game after that, and then I can't wait for week 1 against the Tennessee Titans. I like that it's here in Chicago. I like that he gets a home game in front of the home fans. I love everything about what's going on right now. So, Fitz, are you ready to get out of here, man?
Let's go.
It's time. Guys, don't forget, September 8th, week 1, we were just talking Bears. Catches at McNally's, 111th and Western. And catches there. We'll be there 11 to 3-ish. Might stay a little bit longer. Depends on how inebriated we get that day. But we will be there for week 1, so join us there. Till next week, tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your neighbors.